party.
All right, welcome back to hour number 2. My name is Tom Marquis, El Presidente. Thank you to Mr. Steve Wilson. Called us even though he had a little bit of congestion going on. I know what that's like. Talk a little bit about NASCAR. With us joining us now, executive producer of The Balance, the great white chief, Rick Riggin. How are you, sir?
Hey, be careful with that. Yeah, that could be a little offensive these days. It's a whole bubble wrap society that we live in now.
Absolutely. Speaking of bubble wrap society, we'll get into college football talk here in just a minute. In my opening monologue, I kind of went off in the weeds a little bit, kind of went on a little rant, but I thought, it was fun to talk about. Did you see the story about Jimmy Garoppolo?
Dating went on a date with the 41-year-old porn star? That's the one you're talking about?
Yeah, got himself a MILF, touting around Beverly Hills, baby, and then goes into the fourth season. It seems like it was a plant, and what I mean by that is he wanted everybody to see him because and then the porn star, she posted something on Instagram, date night, and so TMZ caught him out at the restaurant, caught him going into the Four Seasons. Hey, I get it. You're a $120 million quarterback. How do I say this without sounding too bubbly rap? He's a handsome fella. I'm sure he's charming.
Oh, he's a good-looking guy. Yeah, definitely.
He was dating a supermodel. Clearly, everybody in the world knows he can get whoever he wants, but he's not going to call Mama up and say, "Mama, guess who I'm bringing over for Thanksgiving dinner?" That date should have started and ended at the Four Seasons.
the thing that I just want to know is what's the big deal with it? I mean, anyway, yeah, she's a porn star, and that's just, I don't know, that's frowned upon or whatever, but is it illegal? No. So why is it becoming a big deal? And if you're the 49ers organization, why do you really care? I mean, they're not doing drugs. They're not doing anything illegal. So maybe in an image way, that might be a little hurtful, or I'm not sure, but it's nothing illegal, so I don't know why it's a story.
Well, it's a story because it's a story because it's a $120 million quarterback. But the thing about it is, you're right. No, nothing illegal going on here. Two consenting adults doing whatever they want. More power to him. I think any of us, and you can lie to me if you want, but I think any of us had an opportunity to sleep with a porn star, we'd at least consider it. Now, I'll leave it at that. But if you're saying you wouldn't at least consider it, you're lying.
I don't think I would, man. I mean, with what I can get away with saying on the show here, I just don't think I could satisfy a porn star. So if you know what I
mean. The white man syndrome. No. So, no, I get it. But, no, I think here's what it is. Now, first of all, Ron Gronkowski probably has, I don't know, who knows. It could go out with a porn star, nobody would say anything, okay? But I think,
right.
But if Andrew Luck went out with a porn star, people would be saying stuff. If Tom Brady went out with a porn star, it's because the quarterback is the face of the franchise. Now, it is San Francisco. I know that was a jab. I said that earlier, but so it may not matter. But
all right, Tom. In Jimmy G's case, is he the face of the 49ers right now? He's only played like 6 or 7 games with them. I mean, are they that bad that he's actually the face of the franchise after like 6 games?
He became the face of the franchise, Rick, when they gave him $120 million.
All righty. We're just going to put the club on the shoulders of a guy that's been there for 6 games and then scoff at him when he's a porn star, I guess.
I think really, this is a story that's going to go away. I mean, it's just something that TMZ posted and people were talking about it. So, it's a fun story.
It's a fun story. It's fun to talk about, I guess.
Fun story to talk about. Well, let's get into our college football talk. I certainly, toward the end of the hour or the end of the show when Mo's joined us, we want to get into the conversation about Papa John's and some of the other stuff that goes on that we want to get Mo's opinion on. But we posted a poll yesterday on the balance. Go there and vote. But it looks like at the moment anyway. And let me refresh the stats here just to make sure that I'm right on it here. With all the college football changes, who has the best chance of early success? Frost with Nebraska, Jimbo with A&M, Taggart with Florida State, and Pruitt with Tennessee. 71% of the people voted has said Frost with Nebraska. So let's talk about the poll. I know that was the poll you wanted to get put up there, Rick. So the floor is yours, sir.
Oh, we don't have questions. We're just going to let me talk and ramble on about the poll.
No, yeah. You want a question? Tell us your thoughts about the poll. How did you come up with the poll there, Rick?
Well, I mean, that's just like a handful of the coaching changes, really. I just those might be the more prominent ones, the most prominent ones, the coaching changes during the off season. But there's other coaches like Chad Morris at Mississippi State is walking into like a great situation, really, where they're returning like 17 starters. You know, they're going to be awfully successful. So I just chose these four because I think they're probably the most prominent ones, especially with just the names, the university names like Tennessee. Even though under Butch Jones the last several years, Tennessee has had great athletes, but for some reason, I even think 2 years ago they had the number one recruiting class in the country. But that doesn't translate to wins on the field, and that was all due to coaching. Now Jeremy Pruitt takes over at Tennessee. I think you're going to start seeing a trend towards defense, a lot more balance in offensive defense, because he's going to bring that Alabama. He was the Alabama defensive coordinator, so he's going to bring that mentality and that Nick Saban-like work ethic, basically, to Tennessee, and that's how I think Tennessee all of a sudden is going to be back on the rise, be a top 3, 4, top 5 team in the SEC.
So this is kind of our college football preview of college football. We will have a more in-depth show as we get closer to the season starting. Obviously, a big Notre Dame country here, and we'll be getting into a lot more talk with Notre Dame. You're a big Notre Dame person, so let's start with Notre Dame, and we're gonna kind of work our way around.
I thought we was breaking down the poll.
Oh, are we still doing that? Is that still a thing? Go vote on the poll. I wanted to make sure we got through everything here. I totally agree with you. Actually, I am curious. I am curious
I
to see
four teams and 4 coaches for the poll, and all I talked about was Tennessee.
Look at Jimbo Fisher, though. I mean, and Steve Wilson's a big Florida State fan. Talked a little bit about how he just kind of followed the money and abandoned Florida State and kind of left a lot of people there and kind of just turned his back on Florida State. I am curious to see how Jimbo does do out there at A&M, but he did follow the money, and I think a lot of Seminole fans felt like he had no loyalty to them.
Well, I agree with you, and I don't think he put himself in a very good situation, really. If you listen to all the experts and what they say, it's a great fit. A&M is going to be so much better under Jimbo. Of course, you know, his defensive coordinator, Mike Elko, was the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame last year, and all Mike Elko did was the exact same thing Jimbo did, just chase the money. I think, you know, they offered Mike Elko like another $30,000 more than Notre Dame offered him. You know, if it's already offering you $1 million or a couple $1 million anyway, what's another $30,000? But he left with the money, left Notre Dame high and dry. But the reason why I don't think they're going to be all that successful, in my opinion anyway, because geographically, now look who he's got. He owned the state of Florida at Florida State. But now he's got to go against – he's in the heart of SEC and Big 12 country. He's got to compete in recruiting against Alabama, both the Mississippis, Texas, even Oklahoma where they're at. He's got to go against all of that just to recruit. Where he came from a state where he was king, basically. He had it made, had it set up. Injuries the past couple of years have set Florida State back. You know, injuries to his quarterbacks. And that's the problem he had at Florida State. Now he's got a bigger problem at Texas A&M for recruiting.
He's going to have some issues, especially when it comes to recruiting. And Jimbo Fisher was Jimbo Fisher in Florida State. I kind of equated this. Bobby Knight was Bobby Knight at IU, but Bobby Knight Texas Tech. Bobby Knight was not quite the recruiting powerhouse that he was before. I mean,
right.
I get a lot of that was
to go against.
Yeah. I get a lot of that because of why he left Indiana and in the stuff that surrounded that. But still, Bobby Knight is Bobby Knight. So we'll see what happens. We do want to get around the horn here. So obviously, some of the things that we always talk, Rick, at the end of the college football, we're getting into the bowl schedules and the bowl predictions and that sort of stuff. One of the words that we like to always talk about, and one of the things that are really deciding factors, and that's strength of schedule. So, one of the things I wanted to do today was a couple things. I wanted to get familiar with some of these schedules and talk a little bit about them. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about the playoff predictions, or the odds, if you will, or whatever title that you want to put it on, of the teams that we think will make it out of the 2019 playoffs, I guess, at that point. So really kind of in maybe in particular order, but no particular scientific order, but just strength of schedule. So we'll talk a little bit about the West Virginia Mountaineers. Their non-conference schedule includes a season opener with Tennessee and Charlotte, another visit to the Tar Heel State, and 2 weeks later they face North Carolina State. And don't be shocked if the Mountaineers look like a candidate for the college football playoff mid-season, because they didn't do their toughest stretch until November. They don't do their toughest stretch until November. And then they'll have to play teams like Texas, TCU, Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma consecutively to close out the regular season. So the strength of schedule kicks their ass at the end of the season. The West Virginia Mountaineers. What are your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, and you're basically just right on the point with them. It's like that every year. They have a weaker non-conference, even though they got Tennessee, but Tennessee's got a brand new coach. So it's going to be interesting to see how Tennessee comes out of that first game and plays against West Virginia. But last year, West Virginia was the exact same way. Really, they were a great team, but they were catching teams at the right time, playing against teams that had injuries or kind of a weaker non-conference schedule, playing the weaker part of the schedule early in the year and playing tough late, which actually has been being proven in Oklahoma's case to be a pretty good method when it comes to picking for the college football playoff, because when the selection committee picks their playoff teams, they look at the what have you done for me lately thing. So they really just go off the past a week or two of games that you played. And if you've had good wins against strong teams late, that's been a great formula to get you close into the playoff or even into the playoff. But that's been West Virginia's Achilles heel at the same time, because they're just not quite there to compete with the elite teams in the country.
Absolutely, and we'll see how it comes together. We talked when we were talking about the West Virginia Mountaineers. We also talked about TCU. TCU, they're sounding like Darth Vader there, Rick.
I'm sounding like Darth Vader?
Yeah, somebody's breathing heavy.
Oh,
it isn't me.
It's probably me. Hi.
What are you over there doing? Looking up Johnny Garoppolo's date? Looking at her trailers? What's going on over there?
I did look her up a little while ago, man. She's actually pretty hot for 41.
Jimmy G and his MILF will not get by with that. But no, I'm just messing with you. TCU Horned Frogs. Certainly Patterson's team, Gary Patterson's team, is set up with a tough non-conference schedule that includes a visit to SMU and a game versus Ohio State, and at Jerry World in Texas, while the Horned Frogs get Oklahoma State at home this season. Just want to make sure I got that right. And TCU still has to go on the road again, as we talked about, against West Virginia. Thoughts on TCU?
TCU every year is like one of the best teams in the country defensively, but just like we talked about West Virginia late in the season, they hit that really tough part of the conference schedule. That really catches up with them. They always get a loss or two real late in the season, knocks them out of the playoff. They still make a great BCS bowl game, but they are actually, I would consider them one of the elite teams the past 2 or 3 years, because they seem like they're just right there, but just can't get over the hump because they play in that Big 12 against Oklahoma